It's revealed in newer comics that in the past, Bor, Thor's grandfather, waged war against Thanos, who had traveled through time in search of a mysterious black stone that he believed Bor was attempting to create, but he was shocked to learn that the result of Bor's efforts was not a stone, but a child. For many years, Hela's origin has been ambiguous, but in these new recent comics that are less than 5 years old, clear up some things. That's when you see Thanos always after some kind of stone, only to realize it was just Hela as a baby. They even go as far as saying the truth behind Bor's creation revealed. Good grief, Thanos, you was about to kill a baby? Good grief. Obviously, we know Thanos didn't succeed in killing her as a baby. Doom, people from the present, stop him, of course. That's when you see Hela as a baby taken through time. This is where you see the montage of her basically growing up. She's aware of all the things that were learned by others. She knows things from beings that are already dead. Like fading memories, the dead live inside her. She seems to know things she shouldn't really know. Being able to know things from beings that are already dead. See, you're probably wondering, what the heck was Bor doing creating a black stone? Okay, so Bor believed the ritual would create the black stone of death that he had been searching for. Instead, the result was a child. There was a literal time storm that caused her to age rapidly from an infant to a young woman. It became clear that the child is Hela. It has been long claimed that Hela is the daughter of Loki, but that seems to not be the case based on this new revelation. It's pretty much shown that Hela is brought to a young Loki, and that's kind of where they lead to the whole idea of Loki being her dad. I guess you could say adoptive dad. Hela was pretty much raised with Loki and Agrabota, while the current characters, like the current Thor, goes back to their own time, and that's that. And then you guys know how she would end up becoming a thorn in Thor's side a lot of years later instead. Hela, the goddess of death. She's so important for society that if she dies, it actually is detrimental for people. Even stated, with her dead, mankind is doomed. Because insects are no longer threatened by natural death, multiplying by trends every minute, vegetation growing without death apparently, threatening to choke the entire planet. It's narrated that nobody escapes her final touch. She's one of those characters where it's easy to look at her like a bad guy, but this is something that's a part of the natural selection of society is death. And if it is not your time to meet your death, she can actually restore you, bring you back, because she's an energy projector type character. And the goddess of death. In this occasion, Odin is not supposed to die yet, so yeah, come back, Odin. She's a soul manipulator, resurrector type being, so it makes sense. She can technically resurrect, especially if you make a deal with her, exchanging one soul for somebody else's life that somebody wants to resurrect or something. Yeah, kind of like devilish, hell lordish. These beings make deals, nothing comes for free. Like when people make deals with her, making contracts with her, she will remind you that you might not want to break the contract because it will extract something you might not like. It was this particular situation where she gave her power to counter Ares and she will work for her. If you work for me, I will give you power to counter Ares. Meaning if you do not work for her, she will not give you power. Reminding her you wouldn't be able to do nothing without me giving you power. Power bestowal via contracts. Let's just say she can break contracts if she wants though. I wouldn't bet on it though. You might not want to break contracts. It might not end well for you. Like she's always demanding a soul. Let's just say she's a soul collector. Like that's all she cares about. She always be like trying to collect somebody's soul. Her energy projection is crazy to the point where she can pretty much do curses to where she can hex her way to victory, not with just blunt power. Her hex nature is so good it can even affect Thor tier beings that are super durable and resistant to Haxie's type stuff. Like literally stated by Thor to weaken him. This curse in particular was super potent because stuff that shouldn't hurt as bad is hurting extra bad. She basically made a curse to where Thor gotta suffer. It stated that his bones will now be as brittle as those of an old woman, and when they break, they will not heal. There's some narrative implications she might have some reality warping because the way they narrate her energy projecting or doing stuff, they dub it as a spell, aka via magic or something. You know, magic reality warps and breaks physics. They even go as far as saying every syllable is a sound of power resonating a physics beyond logic. In this particular situation, she was forging a sword. The death sword, they dub it saying it's an empty sword vessel that can be filled with her foul sorceries. She's a necromancy type being, so it's natural she has soul manipulation, things of that such. She can make spells to separate Valhalla from the rest of Asgard and link it directly to my own dimension of hell. We actually see it happen. It's not her just stating it. Everybody wants to go to Valhalla, but then when you realize you got to go here, it's kind of like not fair, Hela, doggone it. She can do this thing that a lot of magicians can do, and that's the thing I'm talking about. Her being able to enter spirit mode, or one could call it astral projection, when she's not physically here, but her soul kind of is, or projected somewhere else. She can access the astral plane. Like, you can see her astral form. You see what I mean? She has different beings she can summon or use in battle, like the Hell Wolf, for example. She got her own army of the undead that she can fight with. Like, she always has a legion at her disposal, seems like. Fighting her isn't the only problem. You got to worry about you getting literally surrounded by numbers, because she has literally giant mystical wolves at her disposal like Garm. Similar concept to God of War, but not the same Garm. She has hordes upon hordes. Undead stuff she can just attack you with. It's to the point where she can literally sit back and relax. That's why you will see all these comics of her just summoning undead warriors, beings, or her own armies to attack you. And it seems like she can just keep on spamming this kind of stuff. She's never alone. She kind of has Ghost Rider's number because she has power over the dead, so she can kind of get a hexy win over a Ghost Rider because he's in the body of a dead man. She can stare at stuff and make them go away. What, a death stare? Hexy type of ability. You can look at this like another form of soul manipulation, the stuff that I showed earlier about her being a soul collector. Like, she be siphoning people with her death touch, sucking them up. Like, death touch is an understatement. Like, she's literally aging people super fast. Like the being that Thor was riding on, for example, she like touched it, siphoned it, drained it, turned it into bones. You could say she can touch you and transmute you. Loki believes Hela's touch is death itself. She's one of those people that can teleport in and out of her room when she wants to. Like, who needs speed when you can just teleport somewhere else? Hela herself even says there's no time, there's no place where death does not hold sway. Let's just say she has enhanced senses or enhanced perceptions, because once she sees you, not all of time and space can hide you from her gaze. After hearing all this stuff she can do, you're probably wondering, why would she ever need a weapon? Well, just in case, she can use weapons. That's why we see her fight the powerhouses using blades and such sometimes, whether if it's just one sword or her dual wielding more than one blade. But at the end of the day, due to her magical nature, due to her ability to energy project, she's an energy projector. At the end of the day, if she doesn't have a physical sword, she can technically just make an energy sword or a construct, like she made chains here, for example, like Green Lanterns kind of, or she could just make her sword made of pure energy. She can change her outfit at will, alter her clothing, somehow can wipe the memory of beings, like what she did to the Avengers. The fact that she can entrap beings like this for simply defying her, immobilizing his body but leaving his mind conscious so that I could better contemplate my humiliating punishment, aka making people suffer. So if you made it this far so far, you're probably thinking, okay, she's one of those characters that don't necessarily need muscle when you got all these different versatile abilities. You're right, she doesn't need to use her muscle, but even then, it's still pretty much proven she has superhuman physical muscle still. I mean, look how she's lifting up Valkyrie by the throat, holding Valkyrie, and Valkyrie seems to can't get out of her vice grip. Knowing how strong Valkyrie is, this can kind of give an idea of Hela's muscle. When you realize Valkyrie can lift up 350 pounds with laughable ease, like this is nowhere near her limit. This is just a small example. Twists all this metal around this guy. Like, I agree, her physical muscle wouldn't be her strong suit. I would say she more specializes in energy projection and hacks, but at the same time, Marvel narratively want her to be pretty freaking superhumanly strong. They call it 100 tons. I'm assuming they're talking about just class. So she's class 100. So off rip, she should be up there with the powerhouses and just raw muscle without even counting energy projection. Marvel always says this kind of stuff. They can lift about 100 tons when they lift millions of tons of stuff. Like, this is a common thing. Just take that with a grain of salt. Just know that she's in a class 100 with the heavy hitters like Hulk, Thor, Hercules, blah, 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 blah. All you got to do is look at the old stuff that Thor has done. Stuff like this, her strength should be somewhere in this ballpark too. Just arm wrestling with another powerhouse tier like himself. They make the planet move or knock the whole planet out of orbit. I mean, Thor can apparently lift the weight or score of 20 planets. Like, they call score. You Google what score means, they mean 20. So they're implied they can lift 20 planets and stuff. Yep. This kind of stuff that Thor has to support the weight of. This kind of stuff should apply for Hela. You get the idea. It's believable for somebody like Hela to be able to lift a planet or planets above her head. Lifting planets in Marvel is like a normal thing, honestly. See, narratively, she's supposed to be this strong. I mean, just look at her power grid. It says the same exact stuff. Like, look, her strength is maxed out. So her physical strength is supposed to be up there with the heavy hitters. Heavy hitters in Marvel can lift planets. You get the idea. Class 100 beings can lift planets. Even though they say the word tons. There's no way a planet weighs only 100 tons. Yeah. Definitely an oversimplification. She's not a glass cannon either. You can't just shoot her with bullets. Bullets ain't working. I mean, it makes sense when you see her hit stuff and they just shatter, like brick walls just shatter. And she can hit hard with all this muscle too. That's why when the weight of her hits clash with another being, they make shockwaves. When it comes to her catching a strike from Proxima Midnight, there seems to be a power gap at the very least, considering she can punch and make literal earthquakes. With Luke Cage, Hela stopping her shows her level of power. I mean, look at these clashes. You guys know, you already know. It's clearly weight behind her hits. Look at these big explosions of light and such. She's able to get the upper hand over Enchantress. Yeah, she's already strong via muscle and stuff, but I wouldn't say that's her strong suit. I would say what makes her deadly, like, it's what the handbooks say about her. It says Hela can project a variety of destructive magical blasts, which you already know, and can concentrate her power in one hand, granting her striking power to rend even the strongest Asgardian flesh. She calls this her hand of glory. This is why she's such a threat. It's not just because of her muscle alone, but her muscle along with her being able to amplify her hits with energy is what makes her such a threat, or even be compared to the Skyfather. So when you see like a Herald tier fight her, she might not necessarily be using this. And then when she does pull this out, that's when she kind of jumps tiers to the Skyfather range, you could say, or even scarier in her realm, which I haven't even got to yet. I'm going to bring up Thor in this video again, of course, but this is just one example of her clashing with a serious Thor like this, even pushing him back to show her level of hits, the weight of her hits. I just want to pretty much say, yeah, Hela's a planet shattering type being because she's clashing with beings like Thor with Mjolnir, somebody that can shatter worlds via narration and the shockwaves of his hits, even crack different planetoids that are not nearby like a moon. And you see this is the same being that she's clashing with her sword strikes. So yeah, she's in that level. Are you really surprised she can split planets? I mean, she's a Marvel powerhouse. I mean, we're talking about characters like Hela have to endure hits from beings that can hit that hard, beings that can generate black holes. She's interacting with black holes. You see what I mean? She literally has blades she can summon and use at any time that can pierce beings like Gladiator, like this. Gladiator is a being with planet pulverizing power. He's withstanding hits from beings that can produce similar force to himself. His body can endure that same force or pressure. Gladiator is the same guy who can crack moons. His body can withstand the recoil of it. He can tear apart black holes with his bare hands. His hands can withstand the pressure of black holes. Gladiator's durability is that good. That's who Hela is stabbing like this, guys. No kryptonite, no weaknesses. Just, yeah, the blade is just that potent. Her strikes are that potent. Beings like Gladiator are the same type of beings that can wrestle planets from their orbits and collapse stars with his bare hands. His body is durable enough to withstand being near all that stuff too. Calling her a planet-shattering being is an oversimplification. Look at the size of Earth compared to something like a star. Beings like Gladiator can collapse stuff this large, and she's just stabbing through him like it ain't nothing. So for her to be able to pierce through beings with this kind of durability, this kind of stuff implies if she really wanted to, she can shatter stars if she wanted to as well. Or the pressure or power behind her cuts or slashes are scarier than black holes themselves. Hela's won against powerhouses like Angela, Frigga, beings absurdly mighty like Annihilus. Her strikes can cut limbs off of these kind of beings, threaten their life. Somebody that's literally slugfest with all your favorite powerhouses, like the Thing being one of them. He's somebody that nearly knocked out Thor himself. Oh boy. Speaking of Thor, we've seen her get hit in the face by Thor's Mjolnir, slammed to the ground by Thor, and she retaliates, being hit by this being over and over again. With her blast power, we're not even going to talk about how she be bullying younger Thor. At this point, this don't even seem fair. Redirecting his hammer back at him to hit him. Like, if I'm being honest, leveling galaxies is just another day in Marvel as well when it comes to Hela, when it comes to what she can cut with, the energy projection she can blast with. She stabbed Thor here with the Twilight Sword. Just a friendly reminder that base Thor can headbutt beings like Silver Surfer so hard and put a dent in his head. You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with anything? This is extremely insane considering Silver Surfer's durability can withstand being in the heart of exploding galaxies. So Thor can damage beings that are durable enough to withstand exploding galaxies, but yet when he clashes with Hela, she can match and knock him down, blah, 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 with the weight of her hits. So it would make sense if she had that kind of power to compete with him to delete multiple galaxies or damage beings that can withstand exploding galaxies. It makes sense. Okay, see, it's one thing to mess up the Enchantress one-on-one, right? Somebody that's very powerful with magic and such. But it's another thing to defeat her, you know, the Enchantress, and powerhouses like Thor as well. Two powerhouses like Enchantress and Thor, messing them up at the same time is no easy feat considering Thor-centric beings can produce Big Bang levels of raw power, withstand being in the epicenter of that power, attacks that shake, erupt simultaneously across different planes of reality at the same time, universe-shaking shockwaves, that kind of thing. That's really why competing with these Thor beings, defeating them is impressive considering their durability, overall power level. There's even some implication she's above a base Thor quite a bit, due to the fact that beings like Curse are apparently not mighty enough to harm Hela, you know, because she can make a force field, increase her durability and such. This being Curse having major issues getting through. And with her energy, she literally restrained such a being like it wasn't really that big of a deal, this being Curse. Curse is somebody that's apparently double the strength of Thor. This right here kind of implies she's above like a standard base Thor, not Odin Force Thor, nothing. I'm talking about like base form Thor with no Odin Force or nothing. There's implications she's above that based on her fight with Pluto, because he's a being that doesn't view base Thor as a threat unless his power increased 1,000-fold, implying there was a large gap between Odin and Thor during this time period. Just to prove that Pluto wasn't being cocky, look how easily he just messed up Thor, making him go night-night. It's so crazy to the point where even characters like Hercules apparently are no match for Pluto, and Hercules is the same being who not only matches Thor, somebody that can shake the universe itself with their hits or shake realities. Hercules is a being that can literally shake the universe himself, and he's no match for Pluto? This is the same Hercules, guys, that can lift an infinite mass of weights, immeasurable weight, like the heavens themselves, because he had to do what Atlas did and hold immeasurable infinite weight for 3 hours and stuff. Like, apparently this guy is not mighty enough for Pluto, but Hela is. Universe shaking stuff makes sense when we look at Hela, along with other Hell Lords doing crazy stuff, like putting their minds and energies together, alongside Skyfather tiers like Pluto and Mephisto. They literally freeze Hell itself over. I'm talking about dimensions getting froze over because Hela was contributing to this. She contributed in this Hell freezing over type of energy projection. You know, because during this time, I showed you this already when she was forging a sword or empowering, filling it with foul sorceries. Hela is responsible for such power. It was power that she wielded that would apparently could threaten to fail even the world tree itself, a tree that holds the 10 worlds or 10 universes, you could say. Like, all of this is connected to this, and she's creating stuff that can apparently threaten all of this, including like the main universe we're used to and stuff. In new comic lore, it's explained about how the world tree works and how it's not just 9 worlds you recognize as being a part of a Yggdrasil are just the tip of the maybe infinite iceberg, they say. Not to mention, if we want to take what Pluto really said is seriously, and the fact that Pluto think of himself comparable to Odin, what does that say about Hela, considering that Hela basically boxed it out with Pluto? I guess it would kind of make sense, you could say. I mean, Odin be fighting beings that can rip the Yggdrasil out of its roots. Odin can produce massive shockwaves that ripples across every plane of reality. Thinking about shockwaves rippling to every plane of reality sounds insanity. If we remotely compare her to Odin, we've seen her straight up deflect Doctor Strange's spells. She can dampen the walls of flames made by Mephisto. Even he thought it was impossible. All this power I've went over so far, and all of this stuff gets magnified if you fight her in her own universe, her own realm. You know, Hell Lords have their own realms. Just to give you an idea of how mighty, you know, her or any other Hell beings are in their realm. Beings aren't trying to fight her in certain situations like this. Even if her whole realm is blanketed, thanks to the casket of ancient winters, she seems to be okay despite her whole dimension being blanketed like this. Hell Lords like Hela, Pluto, Mephisto, blah, 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 etc. rule pan-dimensional realities. You're probably thinking, what the heck does that mean? The best way I could say this is like, especially in her realm, you know, when the realm is like a pan-dimensional reality, I would say imagine the universe as a single page in an infinite book. A pan-dimensional being just doesn't read the book. It exists within every page, understands the entire narrative, and can alter any part of the story at will. They are not confined to the story's timeline or structure. They are underlying force that binds the entire book together. Like, think of Hela in her realm. Like, that's why it's pretty much impossible to beat these beings in their realm. If you beat a being like this in their realm, you're absurd. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about when it comes to these Marvel, like, Hell Lord type beings. If you think all this stuff I've been saying about Hela's BS, well, look at this conversation they have together about, yes, vote to expand and merge our separate realms. They can do that. And they simply ask Hela, do you agree to join? Implying that she can do this stuff as well, like these other Hell Lords. They even go as far as, along with these other beings they call Hela former rivals, implying they're in the same level of power in the hierarchy. I mean, Hell Lords literally be at it, like meeting tables with each other and such. Yep, you see them join hands. She's part of the reason that caused tremors that rock the cosmos itself, the cosmic axis itself. Just to prove that her power level is up there with the other Hell Lords, especially within her realm and stuff. The threat of the destruction, on how wide it could get, was said to be an Omniversal Armageddon, absolute annihilation. They even said, like, her going to war with Mephisto would make Ragnarok pale in comparison to all this. Even in cases where Odin implies he can't stop the wrath of such a craziness. Something like speed I shouldn't have to go over. You've seen plenty of occasions of her facing off with these powerhouses in this universe that are ridiculously fast. One of them being Thor. Wait, the other being Gladiator. You know the deal. These beings are way faster than light. Beings like Gladiator can react to punches, throw punches, etc. in 1/1000th of a second, nanoseconds, blah, 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 blah. That's who Hela had to react to. Fights, these kind of beings they fight, Thor, etc. You know. Yeah, so much power. Yeah, you need to stay in your dimension because we ain't got time for you messing up our universes out here. You know, respect Hela, everybody. Quick thanks for the donations, y'all. I'll see you later. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.